Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Wrestling is Cool podcast, the coolest wrestling podcast on the planet. A podcast so cool that Sancho is on vacation and he still demanded to attend. I was like, Sancho, I could probably get The Rock to fill in. I could probably get John Cena. And he's like, no, I cannot miss an episode of Wrestling is Cool.
I care too much about our product. You know, it'd be a huge downgrade if The Rock came on, because it'd be all about The Rock. He would change it to The Rock is cool, and then he would go, and I told Sancho to go on vacation and to never come back.
Dude, those memes have been absolutely cracking me up.
They're gold.
Dude, it's so good because that part of the documentary, I feel like everyone collectively rolled their eyes and went, really? It is you or the mastermind all along, Rock? I don't know about that. And so I told them to name the podcast Wrestling is Cool.
And then he said it, remember? But then he flubbed it. He said pro wrestling is cool. But hey, luckily Cody Rhodes gave us the proper rub, brother.
He did.
The Cody Rhodes rub.
That stardust rub. That glittery stardust rub.
Do you think we'll ever get Stardust as maybe a Firefly?
That's the only place that we would get it. I feel like that is the only place that could respectfully visit that era of Cody Rhodes in a way where it isn't, a heel just trying to get a cheap heel pop, but more so in a way where it's like a wink and nod to the fans that know that era of Cody Rhodes. I feel like that's the only way that you can revisit the Stardust character is in that manner, not just like a heel trying to put down Cody because that's what he used to be. I don't think that would land well.
That's something that, I think Logan would have said, but it's funny when Cody Rhodes does a cartwheel still. And he does this Stardust gesture.
Little bit of a self-aware moment. But folks, welcome to the Wrestling is Cool podcast, as I've already alluded to. And you already know, it's the coolest wrestling podcast on the planet. We come to you every Tuesday. However, there's a good chance you might be listening to this on a Friday or maybe even beyond that. And that's because you're not over on the Patreon, which you could be over on patreon.com/SantiZap. There, you're going to get the podcast 3 days early every single Tuesday. You're going to get 5 Wrestling is Cool match clubs. There are 2 free ones that have just become available. Jeff Hardy versus The Undertaker ladder match in 2002. Fantastic gem of a match. I think we can both vouch for that. And Brock Lesnar versus The Rock in SummerSlam 2002. So just a little tidbit, a little bit of a sneak preview of what we offer with the Wrestling is Cool Match Club. You also get the Raw reviews, the SmackDown reviews, and more. So come check it out, patreon.com/SantiZap. Oh, and even with Sancho gone, we're still doing every piece of content from the Wrestling is Cool Patreon. We don't miss, fellas. We don't miss.
You know what? I have breaking news.
Hit me.
Hard-hitting, cold stone clan mind news.
Coming in, Sancho West.
I like to accuse somebody at the WWE for gimmick infringement.
J'accuse.
That's right. J'accuse. Carlito, how dare you steal my man's baby oil up thunder. All right, there's only one man on this planet we want to see oil up. It is not Carlito. It is not Finn Balor. It is not Damian Priest. It is not Karrion Kross. It is this man right next to me, where signs are sweeping the nation, where hashtags are being formed, where the people of planet Earth and possibly the aliens on Mars want to see this man glizzied up, glistening head to toe, slimy, shiny, smelling like the sweet coconut essence that is of the baby oil. Santi, how do you feel, sir, of Carlito of the Judgment Day taking your baby oil gimmick?
I mean, he can have it. I don't want this gimmick. I don't want it. I'm just picturing aliens being like, take us to your oiled up leader. And then they just arrive at my door. Bro, this oil up meme has just taken on too much of a life at this point. I need it to end. I need it to die. I'm going to be at SummerSlam, and I know that people are going to bring me bottles of baby oil. I know it's going to happen. Please, don't waste your money. I will throw it out. I don't want it. I don't want it. But yeah, it was instant the second that Carlito mentioned his baby oil, that he needed to go get glizzied up. Everyone immediately started just bombarding me that if Carlito can oil up, why can't you?
Yeah, why can't you though?
I don't want to.
I did see on your Reddit, the subreddit, Santi's app videos. There is a video of you oiling up. So,
Dude, AI's freaky. AI is so freaky. That looks like me.
it looks like a leaner young Santi.
I know. It's freaky.
Just going to town.
Just lathering myself up. Jeez. We're moving on from the oil up thing. I can't give this more life. I can't, man. I can't give this more legs.
I was gonna say, dude, it's at a fever pitch now. It's your fault.
How?
Because it was supposed to be like day whatever of Santi doing something, and I think you finally did it. You you were gonna do like some sort of video.
It was a video. It was like AEW versus WWE Dream Match. This guy had requested it for like 100 days straight, and I finally did it. And then all of a sudden, the top comment was day one of asking Santi to oil up, and then now it's everywhere. Now it's in signs on Monday Night Raw and at SmackDown.
Look, dude, after you oil yourself up, because there is gonna be a payoff. There is gonna be the blow off. You're going to be like Ninja Dude, just dragging it, man. He's like, it's going to be the biggest meme of wrestling ever. The low taper fade. Imagine if Ninja got a low taper. Imagine if Santi got oiled up. Imagine if Santi got oiled up. I'm trying to be super quiet because I don't want people in the hotel to be like,
what is this guy talking about?
Talking about oiling up, dude.
Oh man,
it's a family hotel for crying out loud,
dude. I was making a video at a hotel maybe like 2 months ago, and a guy got really mad because I was being too loud and bashed on my door, and I was not happy about it. Can't be doing that, man. Can't be doing that. Ask politely. Ask politely next time. I know that you're probably a fan. I know that you're listening.
What if you answer the door just oiled up? There's no way, dude.
I just slither towards him.
Like Jabba the Hutt. Just slithering towards him. But dude, there is no way any man or woman on earth will fight another individual that is already pre-oiled up.
That's true. That is okay. All right, Sancho. What is a more dangerous thing to run into as a home invader? All right.
Okay.
Naked, oiled up owner of the home, or owner of the home who just stood from the toilet and has toilet paper in his hand? Which is more dangerous?
I don't know, man. The oiled up guy.
Oiled up. There's no grappling the oiled up guy.
No.
There's no grappling him.
Dude, there is a Street Fighter character that I forget his name, but he comes out and he oils himself up. And so can somebody please put Santi's face on the animation?
It's gonna happen.
Oh, dude, he has like a barrel and he's just like going, and then he slides off of people, and people slide off of him actually, and that's his finisher, dude. It goes up and down his back and it slides right off of him.
I mean, we're talking about other media. I do want to bring this to Robert Downey Jr. A lot of the folks that listen to the podcast clearly know that we follow the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We seem to talk about it almost every single episode of the Wrestling is Cool podcast unintentionally. It's never in our show notes. Hey, let's talk about Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness for half an hour like we basically did that one episode.
Hey, at least at this hotel, they have a showing for the kids, Thor Dark World. I'm like, who hates kids at this hotel resort to put Thor Dark World? Man. There's so many other ones to watch.
After that, we're going to skip Ragnarok and go right to Love and Thunder.
You're right. Oh, God.
Robert Downey Jr., RDJ, being revealed as the next big baddie of the Avengers.
The big three.
The Victor Von Doom, who those that don't know is like the big baddie of the Fantastic Four, but is also like one of the biggest bad guys, biggest heels in the entirety of the Marvel comic book universe. Is this the biggest wrestling heel turn style, reveal from good guy to bad guy in movie history, Sancho? Even the way it was presented, the way he came on the screen and basically did the Vince McMahon, "It was me, Austin."
Dude, it's amazing how wrestling is everywhere. And that is a total wrestling reveal ever. I'm just not like, there is so many great other people to use besides RDJ, but it was fun, and I'm sure he loved the actual reveal of the vibe of it. But it just shows you that the MCU is in trouble. Like, you have to really, like, put this in wrestling terms, all right? All right, we are struggling to get ratings. What do we got to do? Let's put one of our top faces and make him heel out of nowhere. AKA, let's bash at the beach. Let's put
That's
Hogan
what I was going to say.
right?
Is Marvel right now in its mid-90s wrestling slump?
It feels that way.
And it needs the injection of like, hey, let's turn our red and yellow Hulk Hogan, say your prayers, brother. Let's turn that into NWO, make him into the third outsider.
I feel it's strange, though, for them to reveal this so early. Wouldn't it have been a cool surprise that it was Doom as RDJ, like, at the actual showing? Or this is more like, all right, we're going to get more eyes, or we desperately need people to go to the movies?
I think it's that. I think it's they desperately need people to go to the movies. Obviously, like, we know Deadpool crushed it at the box office in its first couple of days. Won't talk about it, but it crushed it. It did really, really well at the theaters. Definitely go watch it. It's a fun watch. Okay. But a bunch of the movies leading up to it, like the Marvels, did really, really poorly.
It did. Eternals
just tanked. So there's been a bunch of movies that have significantly underperformed money-wise. And in the world of professional wrestling, you know, if the gate isn't there, if the pay-per-view buys aren't there, you have to maybe dive into the well of nostalgia and to try and bring those people back that you lost by giving them something familiar while also turning that thing that's familiar into something completely brand new.
Deadpool versus Wolverine. Bring it back, Hugh Jackman did.
Yeah. They make a joke about how he's come into the MCU at a low point, which is absolutely 100% true. And the low point of wrestling, I would say, is the mid-90s. It's that era of like, oh, it's the Repo Man versus the Garbage Man. The winner gets a #1 contendership against the guy that runs the IRS. Like, bro, like, that's what wrestling was in that like awful 94, 95, early 96 range. And I do believe that it took that crazy move from Eric Bischoff, Ted Turner, and Hulk Hogan to reinvigorate professional wrestling.
I'm sorry. I'm just thinking of Hogan going, and I said I should put up the
it would still be The Rock somehow. And so I told Hogan.
When I was 13, I told Hogan. Oh, isn't it crazy though that The Rock, young Rock, not the show, but exists in the WWE before all this? Like, when they showed him when he was 13, he looking like an 18-year-old man. Like, he's hey, that could be real, dude.
Man, I mean, yeah, it's not like impossible.
It's not impossible. It feels like what Scott. I think the only person that gives merit to that is Scott Hall. I believe Scott Hall. When he says that Sting, you should put on the black.
That I believe. Well, because Scott Hall is not this guy that, like, every other interview is taking credit for something. He's not this guy that's like flubbing numbers. Like, oh, that day I slammed Andre when I was talking to Hogan, and, you know, hey, when you had the 500-pound giant, he's like, well, he was actually closer to 700 pounds that night, brother. I'm like, oh, okay, sure. Scott Hall just didn't have that reputation, right? So if Scott Hall says that he gave the idea to Sting about the Crow and, you know, the black and white version of Sting, I believe it. But had Hogan said that, I'd be like, dude, shut up.
And then I told Tony Stark to go into Dr. Doom. That's what's going to happen. But a lot of people don't remember that Tony Stark was he sent both Hawkeye and he sent Scarlet. No, what was it? ScarJo out into to go get the Soul Stone. He knew.
He knew what he was doing. He knew what he was
He
doing.
knew what he was doing.
Yeah, he had those heel tendencies prior to the full-blown heel turn. Are there any other heel turns like this in movies that kind of jump out at you? Obviously, there are I guess, like more overt heel turns, like, for example, Harvey Dent to Two-Face, right? You either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain, right? Right? There's like the really, really in-your-face ones.
You don't have to. You have to come after me.
I never thanked you.
What
Oh, you never will.
What did we do with that? Dude, it just shows you how desperate we were for something good. And we're like, Christian Bale, all right, we'll let you ride this
Rachel, where is the detonator?
Rather good.
Who's watching this podcast, bro?
I don't know.
To be fair, I feel like this week is a bit of a filler episode because we got SummerSlam and we're doing a separate
episode.
Yeah, this is a SmackDown episode. You're on vacation. SummerSlam's around the corner. We have a separate, by the way, I forgot to mention, we have a separate video podcast for our SummerSlam prediction. So you can watch that. That should already be out for you.
Well, you asked cinematic, any kind of heel turns. I mean, without going into spoilers, there's always have been the great reveal that they've been the villain all the time. The cinema one that I think of is Scary Movie with Doofy.
It was Doofy all along.
It was Doofy all along. But no,
I'm cleaning my room.
I told you not to disturb me. God, that movie has aged poorly. Okay, if you are someone who's young that is growing up in this era and you want to go back to that Scary Movie era, you just know
you'll be offended every other line. You'll be offended every other line. Yeah, it was definitely a different time.
But what's the biggest sticking point to this whole thing is that wrestling is everywhere, and when you do it right, you could build everything up to such a fever pitch. And the reveal of it, like you said, was very Undertaker-like with Vince McMahon. But I think it's cool, man. I think that, in regardless to the whole thing, RDJ is the man, dude. The dude's an Oscar award-winning actor now, coming back home, dude.
That's right.
He goes out, goes to different promotions, goes to winning an Oscar.
Yeah, he did his New Japan tour with Oppenheimer. You know, he's
What
worked
does that
New
work
Japan
on so many different levels? I mean, Oppenheimer, well, can't talk about that. But yeah, man, that was it's exciting. It's exciting to see what they'll do to it, but I don't know, man. It feels now. I haven't seen Deadpool vs. Wolverine, but I know they do a lot of justice to the Fox and all that fun that they had back in those era. But Fantastic Four already existed, and that Doctor Doom Fantastic Four didn't really work so well.
Yeah, so I mean, you might as well try something new. But in today's landscape of WWE superstars, who could pull that Robert Downey Jr. moment and have the same level of
Cody.
oohs and ahs? It's Cody, right? Like I feel like that's the only answer.
Cody and Homelander, dude. If
Maybe
Cody
Cena, if in this final run.
No, see, don't do that. Don't bring up Cena.
Why not?
Right? No, because people would love him too much because it's his retirement tour. They would love him so much, like, oh my God, Cena, you're finally being a heel. Oh, thank you, Cena.
Why do you think that Cena fans sound like this? Like we
That's
just have,
you.
like we just
No, that's
perpetually
you.
need an inhaler.
That's you. Oh my God, it's almost like Cartman.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Cena the heel. Dude, you remember back in the day in the 90s when I'm thinking about this, that how South Park and the WWE were like 1-1 with the way that you remember when South Park characters were kind of WWE characters were drawn in the cartoon era style of South Park.
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
Little Canes and Stone Colds, and we all ate that up. Man,
Good times. Well,
but no, Cody would be the only guy that would have that. Oh my God, this guy now he's a heel, but there's just so much money to be made as babyface Cody. I don't think we'll see it though. Is it? Do you think a heel Cody would draw as much now? I mean, he's doing really well as a babyface.
I'm sure it would. I'm sure it would draw a lot. It's just a matter of, can you fill the void that Cody would leave as a babyface? Because I'm sure, Cody could go over there, draw as a top heel, but then who can fill in that power vacuum at the top of being a highly profitable babyface for the WWE when Cody Rhodes were to leave? I don't have an answer for you. I right now, I don't actually have an answer for you. Who could that be?
Who?
Like, like maybe Sami Zayn, but I don't know. No, I don't think so. I don't think there's anyone that could be this well protected of a babyface like Cody and still be this beloved like Cody. Because look at Sami Zayn. He's protected and everyone hates him for it. Everybody's calling him Sammy Hogan.
Maybe Rollins? Maybe?
Yeah, but Rollins already has that mean streak in him. You know, it wasn't that long that he was a heel.
Trick Williams?
Trick Williams, maybe, but it needs so much work. Trick is still, I think, 1.5 years, 2 years from coming to the main roster.
Joe Hendry.
Man, I don't know. I feel like we're reaching even with these answers.
L.A. Knight.
Too old. You know, right. That's true. You know that's
true. I know. That's why I put so much pressure and onus that LA Knight, the time is now. And that's why I feel, if you're looking at Sorry,
what did you say?
The
time is, say it again.
The time is now.
Sorry, go on.
The time is now to pull the trigger on LA Knight, because this is a must-win match. Do you know how many? I feel like other wrestlers, you could take an L here and there, but this is the only time when I look at the SummerSlam card and I look at the trajectory of all the careers and look at all the multiverses and all the different possibilities that could branch off. This timeline, I just looked at you finally. This timeline needs to exist. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is this a must-win for LA Knight?
This is a must-win for it. This. You know why it's a must-win for LA Knight? Because they already made the mistake of putting him in the Undisputed Championship match at Crown Jewel like 8 months ago. So like if he were to have gone through the trajectory of US Championship, then Undisputed Championship, then he could have gone back and forth between the two at any moment, right? But bypassing the US Championship, all right, going right to the Undisputed and then being brought down to the United States Championship. If you lose that, where do you go? Because you already had your path to the Undisputed Championship, and it was too early, but you already lost. People have already seen that. People have already seen that what that path and what that storyline could look like. So if you were to lose this, I feel like it puts LA Knight in a bit of purgatory. I think it's must win for LA Knight. But I'm not convinced that he wins either.
It's beyond purgatory, dude. There's no coming back. I mean, if you lose the United States title, that has added some prestige to it thanks to Logan Paul's popularity and celebrity status.
Only because of that, not matches, sadly.
Not because of matches. And we predicted this early in Wrestling is Cool. We said that if Logan Paul would take the belt off of Ray, he's going to add some pizzazz to the title. He's going to take it everywhere, and he did. He took it everywhere. He introduces himself as United States champion wherever he goes. The downside of that all is that if LA Knight does not get it, that means Logan still holds on to it, and then it doesn't appear on TV, and the title continues to lose that wrestling prestige. And if LA Knight carries that title, I'm still not expecting much from it, but at least it'd be on TV more.
I think that's the crux of it, right? I feel like that's why wrestling fans want LA Knight to win. Partly, of course, we like LA Knight and we want this for LA Knight. But I think the big reason why people want him to win is to bring that United States Championship back to TV. Because I do think that the lack of the United States Championship being part of regular storylines and feuds on a week-to-week basis on SmackDown is part of the reason why SmackDown is so weak. Say what you will about Sami Zayn, but he's there every week. If you don't like him, that's fine. But at the very least, it gives you the opportunity to meet characters like Ilya Dragunov, to meet characters like Braun Breaker, and maybe fall in love with them. you talk about and I promise you this isn't shots fired. You talk about, hey, the PLE should be where people get opportunities. I feel like the mid card should be where people get opportunities. And the mid card right now is kind of not there on SmackDown because the champion himself isn't there.
And I think when you did our review, when you covered me for the when you suspended me from the SmackDown review, when we talked about, you were saying that SmackDown, either you appear, you wrestle, and then you have a vignette, you have a backstage moment, and then you wrestle like 3 weeks later.
That's true.
And that kind of a schedule drags feuds long, and it kind of I think it puts a lot of things on life, not necessarily life support, but it barely holds up whatever's happening on TV. If it's not a bloodline, if it's not Cody, then you're barely going to be on TV.
Yeah.
And you're not going to have a lot of time to get things going. And if you do get things going, you're going to have to wait to appear again.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's going to be interesting is for LA Knight, he needs to win. And if he wins, does this title end up having matches every week like a Sami Zayn, or at least appear every week?
At least it gives us the possibility of that happening. The possibility just isn't there with Logan Paul. Because if they have the champion there with LA Knight and they still don't do it, then we can point fingers and say, this is your fault, WWE. We can't just say it was a Logan Paul problem anymore. This is just an inability to know how to use your 2 hours worth of time. And I know that the WWE is absolutely capable of putting on a show that highlights every division in 2 hours because they do it every week with NXT and they do it very well. Obafemi is in every episode out there either cutting promos or beating people up, having matches, whatever it might be. And it doesn't sacrifice the tag team division. It doesn't sacrifice the women's division. So I know that they can put together a really tight, really good 2 hour show. And they're just not doing that with SmackDown. And it's part of the reason, Sancho, and I don't want to hammer this home too long because this was kind of the main topic of last week's podcast. I don't think an extra hour automatically saves SmackDown. I think it's got bigger problems than just a lack of time. It helps. It helps.
Right. It's like fixing the outside of your house, sure, but the foundation, there's something lacking.
Correct.
Maybe that is the case. I think there's a lot of situations in the WWE that are very similar, like the tag team division, like the United States title, is that, sure, we got what we wanted, but I think because we split the titles for the tag team division, then that necessarily was the ultimate fix. Now we found more problems. And if you own a house, if you buy a house, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You fix one problem and then 10 others pop up. And I think that's been the biggest issue with the tag team titles. But just to focus back on LA Knight real quick, if he does lose, I think the only way he could salvage anything was to make a run in TNA as LA Knight.
As LA Knight. Oh, you're talking like not leaving WWE, but being part of the partnership that's currently going on with NXT and TNA.
Because he would actually add a lot of eyeballs to TNA. It would finally be that one thing that a lot of people have been asking for. How does this help TNA? I mean, Joe Henry is literally being siphoned into NXT. He has a bunch of promos and concert advertising, lower thirds on Raw and SmackDown, which is crazy to me.
That's nuts to think about, right? That's crazy to think about.
It's just crazy. So there is, like I said, an audience out there that they're wondering, where does the WWE give back? We all predicted maybe AJ, but AJ hasn't popped up yet. I mean, why not even if LA Knight does win, why not have him go to TNA as the United States champion?
Mm-hmm. We're seeing, I know we see this a lot more often with AEW, but MJF is defending his new United States Championship that he rebranded because it was the international title. Very, very nice belt. He's defending it in some indie shows. So it's not like out of the question that something like that could happen. Well, it might be out of the question with WWE, but it's not out of the question WWE and TNA because there's that proper partnership in place. But yeah, I do agree with you that this feels, at the very least, it feels like a must-win, make or break for LA Knight in some capacity. I'm not convinced that he wins.
What?
I'm not. I am predicting that he wins, but I'm just not convinced. I'm not convinced because
It's not locked in. It's not locked in for you.
it's not locked in. And then we also have another PLE like this very same month of August in Bash at Berlin, where they might do something big there as well. Maybe they want to give LA Knight a big international pop instead of a stadium pop that doesn't really sound like a big pop, even though it's who knows,
you're
man.
You're overthinking about it.
Yeah, I am over
overthinking.
it. Look, we can talk. We're going to talk about this more in the predictions video that you can watch already on YouTube. But I actually think Gunther, that's where he wins. I don't think that he wins at SummerSlam. I think that he wins in Berlin.
All rise.
Oh, how do you like your tomatoes? Sun-dried. What's your favorite side with a hamburger, Sancho?
All fries.
Let's see if you can get this one. What's my favorite multiplayer game?
Multiplayer game? Oh God.
Fall Guys.
Is it really Fall Guys?
It's not. It rhymed.
Oh, it does. You know what? The one thing I do hate trending these days is when people would go to gaming chats, be like, I can't believe, man, grown man playing Fall Guys, bro. Grown man playing Fall Night. Like,
shut up,
man.
Nerd.
Grown man watching wrestling. At least I take care of myself. No, one thing I want to kind of jump to.
Why'd you say that so sad?
At
least I take care of myself.
I want to jump to this. We talked about must win for LA Knight. Mm-hmm. Is this a must win for CM Punk? And now I brought this up. I brought this to the table because I was looking at it and I was watching CM Punk on Monday Night Raw on my phone on vacation. And I was just looking at the landscape. Drew McIntyre has a whole other career in front of him. You have Seth Rollins, who has his career ahead of him. The only one out of those three for SummerSlam that has the most to prove is CM Punk, oddly enough, in my eyes. CM Punk hasn't wrestled since he got signed. He got injured almost immediately. And now people are going to say, well, he wrestled Dominic. Yeah, but I'm talking about wrestling on a big stage. Mm-hmm. There's so much investment into CM Punk, not only with screen time, but money-wise and advertising and everything. He is just everywhere for the WWE. If CM Punk gets injured in this match or comes off as if like, ooh, he has lost a step, or ooh, he's not the same CM Punk as before. This is a shell of himself. The WWE has overpaid for somebody that no longer has it at the quality that he normally does. What's that going to do for you as someone that has watched CM Punk in his prime, has watched CM Punk even really solid AEW? What does that do for you?
Okay. So I want to be very, very clear on your question, because you actually, I don't know if you realize you actually kind of changed the question halfway through, because we went from...
I didn't move the goalpost.
A little bit. You said...
Is this a must-win for CM Punk?
Yeah, but then what came afterwards was about his performance in the match, because I was going to say it's not must-win. It's must-perform. I do think it's must-show out, must remind the world that he's the best in the world. It is a show the world that he can still walk the walk and talk the talk. I don't think that it's must win, because this trio is gonna go right through to WrestleMania. Like, there is just so much meat on this giant carcass that we're gonna be able to feast on for a very, very long time. And I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced that CM Punk has to win this. I'm more convinced Drew does, actually, than CM Punk. Yeah, like Drew's been getting clowned by CM Punk for too long. He needs to get one over at the very least at some point. And CM Punk with a loss doesn't lose steam. I think CM Punk loses steam if he gets re-injured or if he just doesn't perform very well. You talked about, what if he's a shell of himself? I have a much lower example of that just recently happened. I got so excited, Sancho. Last episode of NXT, Cedric Alexander being brought down to NXT. I was like, yes, now the world will get to see what Cedric is all about. Cedric is an amazing performer, one of the best cruiserweights of all time. Then he gets out there in his match with Trick Williams. I was like, oh, It has been about 6 years since we've seen Cedric Alexander. This is not the same Cedric Alexander that I originally fell in love with, that had that amazing match against Mustafa Ali all the way back at WrestleMania 34. And it did kind of leave me a little bit bewildered and a little bit sad to see this not as impressive version of Cedric Alexander, to the point where I'm significantly less interested in seeing him in future weeks compared to like what I was. So, and that's what I don't want with CM Punk. I don't want to lose interest in CM Punk because all of a sudden, you know, he just isn't the Punk that I remember. He can't be, to be fair, he can't be that same Punk. You know, it's been a decade since he's had a televised singles match in the WWE, but we've also seen him have bangers in AEW not that long ago. Right? That match at All In against Samoa Joe, dog collar match, Darby Allin, he can still have bangers. But for every banger that he had in AEW, we had a broken foot, we had a concussion, we had some injury. So I'm nervous, but more optimistic than nervous.
Man, and I'm not like trying to say it's a Goldberg level situation here, where we could tell Goldberg is not that guy anymore. And they keep throwing him out there. It's just, to me, I would think if I was in CM Punk's shoes, I would feel that would probably be my most worry, is can my body hold up throughout this grueling, I mean, it's a SummerSlam match. We're talking, what, 25 minutes at least? 20?
I would hope so.
Right?
I would hope so, right?
I mean, that's the thing about it. And I feel like as a WWE like anyone who's a fan of WWE, or a fan of CM Punk, you want to see him go because that's a huge investment. And like you talked about, that's Mania. Then that's like, all right, we got to go to Mania. Because one thing I wanted to point out is the Logan Paul not being on TV is because he needs his matches at least to have a little bit of time to work out, choreograph, whatever you want to say it. That's how Logan Paul performs at his best. That's when Logan Paul is comfortable. He cannot go week to week, call a match in the ring yet. He's getting there for sure. And that's why, if I'm a Logan Paul fan, I'm excited that he's working with LA Knight, because LA Knight can call a match in the ring. And maybe LA Knight wants more of an organic type of match with him. Who knows? But for CM Punk, I don't think we'll ever get a weekly CM Punk anymore. He's just going to be like a Roman that has more appearances, where he's going to be on the road. He's going to cut promos. He's going to be involved in more angles. And then he will wrestle at a PLE. I don't think we'll get any more Monday night weekly Punk anymore.
I think CM Punk is in a really, really unique position in his age and his abilities that no one else is in, that is going to be a godsend for his future outlook in the world of professional wrestling. I think people get equally excited over the prospect of a CM Punk match as they do a CM Punk promo, which is
right.
Which is really, really good for somebody that's getting older that can't go every single week. A CM Punk promo in the ring on Monday Night Raw is must-watch TV. It always is. It's always awesome. He always elevates the mic work of the guy that's across the ring from him as well. They always come out with the best. Just look at Drew McIntyre. It's the best mic work of his entire career, right alongside CM Punk. He was getting better, but CM Punk has brought out the best out of him by far. And because he has that unique ability to draw eyeballs and draw ticket sales just on the prospect of this guy opening his mouth, means that he's going to be able to last in the world of professional wrestling much longer than somebody that is just known for, you know, having chaotic matches.
I just hope to God they don't give him another like stand-up special like The Hour with the Undertaker or Sami Zayn and Friends, and now Damian Priest has one. I don't know, man. Like I like the idea of wrestlers getting their money in other places, but I think that would kind of diminish CM Punk time. Like you said, you want CM Punk to have that hour or what 30, 20 minutes at Raw, not like in addition to a PLE, the CM Punk extravaganza or whatever.
Imagine, and the CM Punk podcast is brought to you by Blue Apron.
And then he's just ragging on Ryback the whole time. That would be the entire. But no, like I and the one thing is like, let me just be clear. Like, yes, me and Santi are just two guys observing, we don't know how CM Punk feels. We don't know how his body feels, or in terms of his mental state. Just on the outsider, as observing, you would just have to feel like this is a must-show situation for CM Punk.
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of this podcast. We are 100% capable of being wrong and you disagreeing, because we're just in the same, we're on the same couch as you, right? Like, we have no insider information. We are not industry vets. We do not analyze pro wrestling beyond probably what you analyze it with this. We analyze it with the same eyeballs and brain that you do.
The same material, the same evidence.
So we're just seeing what I would say the majority of people are seeing. And again, I don't think it's a must win for Punk. I think it's must show out, must remind the world that he's awesome.
The show off.
Ooh. Let's talk about a group that isn't going to be getting showed off at this year's SummerSlam. I'm a little bit bummed out about this. The Wyatt Six. They just had an awesome segment on Monday Night Raw. They've been having awesome segments on Monday Night Raw for a really long time, actually. Finally, we had Joe Gacy, Dexter Lumis, and Rowan unmask themselves. Same with Nikki Cross. Was the Nikki Cross unmasking on purpose? It kind of looked like her mask fell off when she did the crossbody. I wasn't sure. I wasn't, because she's the only one that they didn't show like her face like fully.
It felt like that was a very stiff bump.
Yeah.
Like she probably smacked the head of Chad Gable on the way down.
It just looked like her mask fell off by accident during that moment. Anyways, cat's out of the bag. These guys are not specters. They're not ghosts. They're not poltergeists. They're just people that have been wrangled together by Uncle Howdy. Saved by Uncle Howdy. Healed by Uncle Howdy, you could even say. And yet they're being kept off of SummerSlam, which is peculiar because the Wyatt name has had such a close tie to SummerSlam. Bray Wyatt, the Fiend Bray Wyatt, debuting at SummerSlam. Instead, they're choosing to debut this group the Monday Night Raw after SummerSlam, which, funnily enough, Sancho, remember last summer where they just kept keeping Chad Gable and Gunther matches off of PLEs and putting them the week before or the night after the PLE? That seems to be what they're doing here once again with Chad Gable. Obviously, this is going to bring eyeballs to Monday Night Raw. People are going to want to see the debut of the Wyatt Six. But I'm just going to come out and say they should have been on SummerSlam.
Well. When you think you could escape me, Santi, and my correct mind thoughts, the train of thoughts. Would you like to come on board? There's a seat right here.
Choo! And so I told Sancho to conduct this train.
But yeah, you know what the train is? There needs to be more matches on PLEs. You had an opportunity. Yeah. This is it.
Sancho, we're not getting into this again. My argument is not that there should be less matches. My argument is that the matches that belong on PLE should be on PLEs. This is a match that belongs in a PLE. All right? If it were up to you, you'd have bum-ass Karrion Kross and Xavier Woods in this show. Yes. All right? No, this did deserve to be on the show. That did deserve to be on the show. This, Wyatt Six and Chad Gable absolutely do.
No, yeah, but it's because of you accepted less because of this. This is the result. This is what the economy
such gaslighting.
No, this is the economy. What's going through now? This is your bag of chips with less chips, but you're being charged the same, brother.
Are you saying shrinkflation?
Shrinkflation here. You've accepted. Triple H booking. 4 matches. Thank you, Triple H. I appreciate you. Yes, these are 4 quality matches that I will always accept. As long as it's quality, as long as they deserve the story on, I will accept 4 matches, maybe even 2. And here you are, hand in hand. Oh, Paul, please, Paul. The Wyatt Six deserve to be on a PLE. Please, they deserve to be on a PLE. Ha! If you would just accept the fact that 8, 9, maybe 10 matches is okay, and this is where you could have the Wyatt Six and the Creed brothers being in squash matches at PLE. Would you accept that? Would you want that?
A squash match? No.
Yes. Why not?
I don't want a squash match. I don't want squash matches on my PLEs.
Let me go into the match club transcript. Let me pull that out because we watched SummerSlam recently, and we watched a SummerSlam that included Goldberg versus Dolph Ziggler, a minute match. And what did you say? What was your favorite match of that PLE?
Okay, it was that. It was that.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. The defense rest, Your Honor. Even on the summer and vacation, I could nail ya. Anyway, Santi.
It deserves to be on the PLE.
Yes.
I feel like they're being snubbed. I feel like their storyline was worthy of being on this PLE, and them not being on the PLE is a little bit odd. I don't understand why they're being snubbed from the show.
Does it diminish the Wyatt 6 because they're not on the PLE?
I think the answer has to be yes. I feel like if you say no, feel like if you say no, you're coping. I feel like the answer is yes. Sancho, are you like
no?
Are you just savoring this moment? You're like one of the what's the name of those people that are like professional like wine tasters? What are those called? There's a name for it. That's what you are right now, and I'm trying to use it as an insult. It is. Yeah, no, I'm finding it because it's a stupid name and it's what you are. Wine expert name. I'm Googling it right now. You're a sommelier. That is what you are. You're just over there. Yes, Santi. Yes, the rich oakness of your failure.
Hey, I used to be in mock trial. Okay, so Santi, would you say that the Wyatt 6 deserve a PLE opportunity?
Opportunity?
That a PLE can be a great opportunity for talent to get themselves over.
Opportunity is the wrong word. I don't think that PLEs are opportunities. Opportunities are something that should be. Opportunity is Monday Night Raw. And you use those opportunities to earn your spot on the PLE. I believe that they've already showed out with their opportunities on Monday Night Raw. I already feel like they've taken those opportunities, they've taken that ball and they've ran with it to the point where they've earned a PLE spot. PLEs are not your opportunity places, Sancho. This isn't the land of opportunity. This is where I want my money matches. This is where I want to see the things that deserve to be on this show, not your training wheels. This isn't where you earn your keep. I feel like you earn your keep on Raw and SmackDown, and if you earned your keep on Raw and SmackDown, you should be on the PLE. And I believe the Wyatt 6 have earned their keep, and Chad Gable has earned his keep, and they deserve to be on the PLE, not have the opportunity to appear on a PLE. That's where you and I differ. You see PLEs as communist Soviet Union. Everyone gets an opportunity. Sancho is a communist. Clearly, this is where we're going.
Whoa. No, well, the one thing though is, I just don't think it's ready for a PLE.
What's not ready?
It's hot, but it's not ready. Wyatt's versus Creeds. It's not ready.
That is false. Look,
it's not ready.
Okay, Wyatt's versus Creeds, maybe.
Not a 10-minute, not a 15-minute banger. A squash match, yes.
Bo and Chad absolutely could have had a match at SummerSlam. That was ready. Actually, you know what is ready that for some reason the WWE never pulled the trigger on? Chad Gable and Otis. What happened with that? They just didn't do anything with it. It was hot. It was hot. And then they just did not.
Maybe if there was more room on PLE to have a Chad and Otis, you could have had Chad and Otis at what happened after.
It should have been at Money in the Bank. It should have been a match at Money in the Bank, but they went with something else.
But no, you were like, ooh, I'm happy with my 2 ladder matches. In my 2 other matches, that's me, Santi. I don't want Otis. And I don't want Chad because then it'd be a 5 to 6, 7 card.
Where did you get this voice from me?
It's you.
That's not me.
It is you. It's in there. It comes out. It's so whiny. Okay. Truthfully, is this a safe place?
Yes.
Is the wrestling is cool a safe place? Is the people in the comments, both Patreons?
Oh, I can't speak for them.
Me too. I don't know, man. Wyatt 6, when they took off their mask, I don't know, man. That aura went down a little bit. I don't know, man. It just
This
went
is
down
not a
little
safe place. You're an idiot. You're an idiot.
bit. It's no, the reason why I feel that way is because then I go, oh, that's Eric Rowan. I've seen that guy. You know what I mean? It's just
You're the same guy that said like 5 weeks ago they can't wrestle in those masks. They take the masks
and I
off,
was right. And I was right. And I was right.
and then they take the mask off, give you what you want, and you're like,
No, it's not that.
I don't know, man. It's just not doing it for me.
It just it just felt like the magic was gone, like the illusion was gone.
Okay.
Like
So that brings up a really, really good point. Somebody in my Twitch chat asked the question, is the Wyatt Six a one-trick pony? After we see them for the first time, is it going to lose its pizzazz? It's
reveal the monster. They revealed the monster.
Yeah, like have you shined, like you say, shined a light on the monster?
Right.
I guess I want to be optimistic about it and say that no, because there's a lot of like these types of storylines that you could have with different groups. I feel like something with Wyatt Six and the Judgment Day could be interesting. Something with them and Gunther could be interesting. The Bloodline would be crazy. But I will play, is Angel's Advocate a thing where I'm going to kind of agree with the person and say maybe not necessarily that they're a one-trick pony, but once the first match and feud happens and ends, the mystery is gone. And I do think that part of the mystery is starting to dissipate with them revealing themselves. Obviously, us seeing their face with the videotapes. But it had to happen at some point, right? Like you couldn't live off the mystery forever.
True, but here's my 2 points that I bring up. And before someone already hit insert on their comment. There's 2 things. One, the way the previous type of, now that they're not poltergeists or ghouly ghouls, they're just Texas Chainsaw Massacre type of faction, right? They're just deranged people. The way that they've been booked recently in the WWE, I'm thinking of Sanity, Retribution, all those kinds of things, does not give me the confidence in the Wyatt Six. Because Sanity, Retribution, those type of factions aren't the same vibe that the Wyatt Six has. It's just that the Wyatt Six now have they have the polish of a Bo Wyatt or Bray Wyatt and Bo Dallas type of thinking, that it's elevated, it's beyond, it's very sophisticated type of Retribution type faction, you know?
Sure.
Like what are they here for? What are they here for to do? And the second thing I want to bring up is I don't think starting with Chad Gable was the right choice. Because you did say Chad Gable and Otis still has some unfinished business, but what if they picked at someone that was a little bit higher on the pecking order? They would have added a little bit of a bigger impact than a Chad Gable and the Creed brothers.
I think the Creed brothers are just sort of there for
fodder.
They're red shirts. Red shirts,
right.
I think is the industry term. But I think Chad Gable made sense to go after because at the very least it gave us an idea of their motivations. You know, you asked, why are they here? Sure. I think a character like Chad Gable that had been going through such an overt and in-your-face storyline, right? Like ditching family not forgiving him because of all the terrible things that he's done, gave us an idea of what kind of motivations they have without them, you know, going on the microphone and being like, let me tell you something, Chad Gable, you know, without ruining that mystique of them and having them hop on a mic or doing a backstage segment. So in that regard, I do think that he was the right call. I'm just very curious. You know, if we have Chad Gable upper mid card, I would say a lot of people would have him in that position. Where do you go from here? You know, after the Chad Gable feud, do we jump up and try to go after those bigger sharks like the Judgment Days? Or do we kind of stay in that mid card range? Like, I just don't. That's the problem with going after a Chad Gable. It doesn't give full insight as to where in the card they're going to be booked and where they're going to be appearing.
Yeah. Because they easily could have gone after like a lower card person, just gave the same motivations like family.
Sure,
and we
work your way up.
work your way up the totem pole. I mean, obviously, one of the names I threw out there was Jey Uso would be the next person to.
Oh, that would have been even higher than Chad Gable, right?
Right.
But Chad Gable's already like pretty high up there.
True. The thing about Chad Gable is that he is a flexible storyline, and they realize that, oh, we could just dump this Otis storyline, eject that one real quick, and just put Chad, and he's flexible. Whereas you can't just throw Jey Uso in here without thinking of where he goes afterwards, right? But I feel like a Jey Uso and the Wyatt Six, it reminds me of the Harlem Globetrotters and Scooby-Doo. It just feels so out of left field almost that they would have to find a way to ground that like a lot harder. No, man, it's just when I was just watching it, and it's exciting to see Dexter Lumis glow up, because Dexter Lumis has always been one of my favorite NXT characters there, because in terms of gimmicks, because he was so intense and so cerebral, and he moved with such a perfect purpose that I've never seen anyone move like that in the ring before, and it got my eye. It caught my eye, and then him being this Dexter type of character from the Showtime show, that I thought it was exciting. And for him to be with this major glow up and this new look, I liked it. And for some reason, he looks smaller than he does.
It's because he's next to Giant. It's because he's next to Rowan, who is just abnormally huge.
He literally just threw him down like it was a sack of potatoes. Yes. That was a crazy move.
You're right, though. He did look smaller. It's an illusion of the pants.
It's an illusion, Michael. And the dreads. But other than that, like the stable is there, but I just don't. How about this? I like the Wyatt Six and the wrestlers and the idea of machine behind it in terms of Bo Dallas, but I am not confident in Triple H.
Okay, here's my question to you. You threw it out there into the universe, so I'm curious where you would land. You say right now that Chad Gable versus Bo Dallas, or New Alpha versus the Wyatt Six, hasn't been in the oven enough to be at SummerSlam.
Mm-hmm.
What if they've hit all of the same story beats, they spent the same amount of time, but instead of Chad Gable, it's Jey Uso? Does that get on SummerSlam? Because then, if your answer is yes, and this is the reason I'm asking, if the answer is yes, then the reason they're not on SummerSlam is because they didn't grab a big enough fish. And Chad Gable doesn't bring them to SummerSlam, but a Jey Uso does. If you say also no, well, then maybe it's booking, not doing a good enough job of generating buzz and interest. But I would disagree, because I've been incredibly excited every single week about interactions between Chad Gable and the Wyatt Six. So I'm just curious where you land in that scenario if this had been Jey Uso.
When did the tape start?
I think the tape started like 2 weeks
after WrestleMania, right? After Mania, right?
No, they started like after Backlash.
Okay. Yes. No. We thought they were going to appear on Backlash. Remember
Is that what it was?
Yep. We were like, oh, they should have appeared in the French crowd.
That's right. Yes.
It was the QR codes. The
QR codes had started. The QR codes. Okay.
Yeah.
If you're saying QR codes, then it was after Mania, like pretty shortly after Mania. Yes.
Yeah, I think the week after Mania.
Yeah. The tape started after Backlash, and then they debuted the day after King and Queen of the Ring.
And then they picked on Chad like 4 or 5 weeks ago, I want to say.
It would have been right after. It would have been late May, after King and Queen of the Ring, when they murdered Chad Gable
on Monday Night Raw.
Monday Night Raw. So we're looking at all of July, all of August, and one major showing in May, at the end of May, as part of their buildup. Bro, that's 2 months of buildup. That doesn't make it to SummerSlam.
I mean, maybe they think that the sunlight might be a problem, because that really killed Bray Wyatt's aura.
I didn't actually think of that. I think you might actually be onto something there. It killed Bray Wyatt's aura whenever he would come WrestleMania 31. It killed Sting's aura, that WrestleMania, and Undertaker's aura that WrestleMania. That was West Coast timing, but the PLEs are starting an hour early. Out of nowhere, just randomly. They start at 7 instead of 8. We're in the middle of the summer. Sun doesn't go down until like 8:30. Properly, you actually might be onto something there.
I mean, because if they were going to wait for darkness, then you're getting closer to main event.
Yes.
So you would have to either be the thing before the main event, and it could be that the simple answer, and I know, podcasts alike, pundits like us, we like to overthink things, but I think we got to the nugget of it all, is that you cannot have too many special things appear when there's going to be one major return, I think.
Of course, the return of Doink, the clown, the one and only.
Doink was scary, dude. I don't care.
He was horrifying. He was horrifying,
dude. His finisher was the whoopee cushion. No, but I think it could be that. It could be as simple as like, hey, we learned our lesson about light, and the arenas don't do well. We can't make the White Six look spooky in this arena. Let's make it a big event for Raw. It will get people excited to watch Raw. If, say, Roman did return at SummerSlam, then so many eyes would be on that Monday Night Raw that they would give the Wyatt Six
maybe
a big platform to do their thing. I do fear that the Wyatt Six, that will be a squash match, though, the six-man tag.
It can't be on Gable, though. I feel like it has to be Gable, like, running away from the and leaving the Creeds to their own accord.
Do you think it's going to be a spooky fog match?
I hope not. That's actually something I don't want. I don't want different lighting. I don't want fog. I mean, it could, maybe we get fog at some point in the match, but I feel like to a degree you have to start in a grounded world of reality, in my opinion, if you're taking their mask off and if we know that they're not supernatural.
So if we were to now that we know that the White Six are real people, quote unquote, and that they are more of a demented family, or like Sid's toys. That's the way I kind of look at it, because they were discarded toys that were put together again by Bo. So if that's the case, where did this family go? I think this family, they're just gonna. I think they're gonna be one of those factions that don't get a lot of screen time in terms. They're not going to all cut promos. It's just going to be Bo cutting promos, and they're just going to be hosses, man. They're going to have brutal offense, and they're going to eat a lot of offense themselves, and they're just going to be they kind of remind me, I hate to say this, but they're going to be like, I'm thinking of old school wrestlers like Natural Disasters, Demolition, like these big dudes. They're just going to run over everybody. Legion of Doom type of selling, they have to have that kind of run. They need to have that run, or not, they're just not going to be exciting to see.
They got Joe Gacy, man. They got to get violent too with just crazy spots, in my opinion.
Exactly.
That man's a psychopath.
Like, if you think about it, Jacob Fatu has been able to display his level of brutality without really going so far over the edge, and I think the Wyatts have to go over that edge.
Okay. Let's, you mentioned Jacob Fatu here. I feel like this is a good transition to talk about other SummerSlam snubs. So we have the Wyatt Six, Chad Gable. Wah, 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 wah. There's other major SummerSlam snubs, like both sets of tag titles. We don't have the Raw tag titles. We don't have the SmackDown tag titles. The women's tag titles isn't on the show. To be fair, in my opinion, DIY versus the Bloodline, like, that's had no build. That's just, we're number one contenders, and then we take on you next week.
But does it need a build? It's for a title.
That's just a good question. Well, I feel like that's a different question altogether. Like, do all titles deserve to be on PLEs? Like, I think the answer is emphatically no. Like, if you're not going to give us a good storyline or a good feud, I feel like the justification makes sense to have the titles on the show, but
then that diminishes the title.
Well, like, no, you know what diminishes the title? Not like booking storylines for the title. That's what diminishes the title.
Yes, but I'm saying that a DIY, they should have won their title at a PLE. They should have won the title there, not on the SmackDown main event. And a DIY versus Bloodline does not draw eyes. I would watch that match because it's for the title. Then you're adding the storyline is, can the Bloodline retain gold or recapture gold with Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga? Like, that's enough. That should be on the PLE. I don't know. I'm not coming down on you, but I don't know why we've gotten to this notion that everything needs a long storyline buildup when just having the title match alone and that could be enough for the PLE. Why does that not do it for you?
It doesn't do it for me. Because I've lived through so many meaningless Intercontinental Championship matches, United States Championship matches.
But this is not meaningless.
Of course look, listen. Meaningless meaning that like it just sort of happened for the sake of having it on the show, where we would have these 16 match WrestleManias with a United States Championship match that had little to no build, an IC title match with little to no build. Tag titles were some of the most egregious offenders of that. Where I think these matches belong, Sancho, like if you want to have the title involved, but you don't want to put the effort to create an actually like engaging narrative, is the pre-show. They just announced a 3-hour pre-show with no matches on it. What are you filling that up with? That's perfect for that.
Let me put a pause. This is what you want. Let me give you your little narrative booking that you want. Okay, and it could be that since I'm on vacation, I'm a little loose with it. All right,
a little loose with it.
This is what you want. You want Tama Tonga, Jacob Fatu, DIY, each one to have a singles match. Each one to have like a little DQ happen in between. You want this thing to last 4 to 5 weeks. You have some run-ins in the back. Maybe they interfere with another tag match. DIY comes in for the save. You rather have all that strung out into a tag title match randomly on a SmackDown, random main event, versus having a major PLE SummerSlam tag team. And you're not telling me that Bloodline trying to retain tag team gold is not enough for you to get interested into that match, and DIY just trying to stop them?
I'm very interested in it as a SmackDown main event for sure. But listen, like I feel like
the tag team titles suck now, brother. People like you.
Well, you went with the simplest, the easiest way of booking something like that, but like you had the ability to insert DIY to help Cody Rhodes. That's
how DIY and the A-Town Down Under were booked, my friend.
Yeah,
that's exactly how they were booked.
I know that's usually the way that those types of feuds for tag titles are. That's why I said it's the easiest way to do it. Like you're not wrong. It works. It's a formula that has worked. But you could have done it. You could have made it interesting here. You could have had, after you literally had it like around, like right there. You had it with both Randy Orton and Kevin Owens getting taken out. Like you had the ability to insert DIY into this feud to go out and help against the Bloodline. You don't think so? You wouldn't have wanted, Solo's got the thumb out and then we hear, we are. No, you wouldn't have popped? See, if you're laughing at this, how in the world could you justify having this on SummerSlam?
Because that's what's going to happen with your world. Just pay it off at SummerSlam. We don't need
pay what off? There's nothing to pay off.
Not every matchup and rivalry needs a book. We don't need to finish a story.
Yes, they do. That's what wrestling is.
Just give me the match.
Oh, my God.
I don't need this to last 6 months. DIY would put on a banger match without any buildup, dude. A banger match against Jacob Fatu.
And then it's just a match.
It's not just a match. It's just for the tag team titles at SummerSlam. They could steal the show. You know me. You know they could steal a SummerSlam show. Those four, easy.
Quality-wise, I'm sure they'll steal the SmackDown main event, brother. They'll do a great job there. It's exactly where they belong.
And you talk about slubs. You talk about snubs. Karrion Kross and Xavier Woods deserve time. Yes, they do.
Stop!
Yes,
you are not about to sit here and ruin the decent argument that you've actually been making this episode ruin it by saying that Karrion Kross and Xavier Woods should be on SummerSlam.
As a pre-show match. At least a pre-show match. Those four with Xavier and Kofi and then AOP and Karrion Kross and Scarlett, they deserve it. You know why? Because it would tell the audience that it matters, that people should be paying more attention to it. Dude, Karrion Kross cut a great promo.
That was a good promo.
A fantastic promo.
Don't disagree.
And you know what? I could tell Karrion Kross goes, you know what, Xavier, can I cut a promo in our match? Because I know I don't have enough time to do what I want to do. Let me cut the promo real quick, couple sentences, and then you hit me. These guys are doing everything that they can to squeeze every bit of juice from The Rock.
That's okay,
The
man.
Rock.
And not every juice needs to be on the menu, brother. Sometimes
I'm telling no. Xavier Woods it's going to go heel, and all this is going to matter. And you know what? You see this right here? You look at this. Look at this in my hand. Look right here. This is your little what is it? Boarding pass to get on this bandwagon.
I don't
and
want
it's
it.
been revoked.
Oh my!
It's been revoked. You're never going to be allowed on this
Am
bandwagon.
I being left off of the Karrion Kross, Kofi Kingston, and Xavier Woods feud bandwagon?
Yes, you are.
Oh
You are.
no, Sancho!
you are.
You know
Bye.
how stressed out
Bye.
I am that I'm missing this train. I'm so
Bye.
stressed out that now I'm over here losing my hair. I'm losing my hair from how stressed out I am that somehow I'm being left off of this heaping pile of garbage of a train that is the Karrion Kross and Xavier Woods feud. Oh no, please ask me how sad and stressed out I am. Look at all the hair I've lost.
I broke you, dude. You're not losing hair because of that. You're losing hair because of me. Me, baby. Yeah, but no, truthfully, your boarding pass bandwagon.
Don't want it. I don't want it. Dude,
Mark
no.
this down. Clip this out. Clip this out. You're going to regret. You're going to regret. You can be like, oh, man.
Brother, you could pay
Xavier.
people to get on that train and people would jump off.
That's
People,
fine. We don't-
the train
that's-
could be
that's fine.
going at 1,000 miles an hour, and I'd rather just take my chances jumping off the train right now.
That's fine.
That feud
No.
sucked, and you think that it belongs on SummerSlam?
As a pre-show, at least.
You know what? In protest, I'm gonna do the rest of the podcast in my bald cap.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Do it. You look better.
It's an improvement.
You look like a thumb. An angry thumb. But yeah, man, it's interesting. I think you did say it the best. 3 hours, no pre-show match.
That's weird.
Why?
Very
weird.
What? Like, is it really just going to be 3 hours of
Talking? Yeah.
Of really that's aggressive to me. That seems highly unnecessary, and especially when we're on the precipice. We're 2 years removed, but 2 years comes at you quick. We're 2 years removed from a 2-night SummerSlam. You'd think that you might want to start toying around with
More matches on the card?
Yeah, more matches on the card without, right immediately polluting the main card this year with other things. But you'd think that, you got a 3-hour pre-show, which is, by the way, as long as the show, because the show is scheduled for 3 hours. You wouldn't want to do something with that with a bit more substance rather than just commentary, vignettes, and advertisements for C4 Energy?
And Wingstop. You notice every match has sponsors?
I didn't know that. I didn't see. No.
Yeah. Slim Jim and LA Knight and Logan.
That makes sense. That makes sense. That's their guy.
It's the boy, dude.
That's their guy. Do you think we get Prime on the ring again?
Oh, so of course they bought it a long time ago. And what's interesting is everyone hated on the Prime logo, but no one cares about the advertising everywhere else.
Dude, the Prime logo does not bother me. I legitimately forget about it.
You know what bothers me? The Cinnamon Toast mascots.
they're nightmare fuel, in my opinion. They're just
there.
dancing over there.
Rey Mysterio, let's go, dude.
Bianca and
Any more
Jade.
snubs?
Yeah, Bianca, Jade, and the Unholy Union. What do we think about this? Let me take the floor on this really quick.
Sure.
It feels like WWE doesn't know what to do with Bianca and no. I know what they want to do with Bianca. I'm not convinced that they know or are ready to do what they want with Jade Cargill yet. Because just kind of look at the breadcrumbs of information that we have. They start off as a big group, the Big Three, which we all liked. I thought that group was really, really cool. Then they disband, and then they actually become singles for a bit. They try to qualify. Yeah, they try to qualify for the King and Queen of the Ring. Yeah, they also win tag team gold. They lose it. They go
Money
their
in
separate.
Bank.
Yeah, they go their separate ways once again to be singles to try and qualify for Money in the Bank. And then literally a week ago, they're like, we're back together as a team and we won the tag titles. And that didn't give them enough time to build anything to make these titles go on SummerSlam or have a chance to appear on SummerSlam. Here's a thing.
Jeez, what is that?
That's a big ass fly. We talked about this before the show. I have a fly infestation around here. I don't know what's going on. We ordered some fly traps. Those women's tag titles will never sniff a PLE unless Bianca and Jade are in the picture. And now that they're back in the picture, they still weren't able to get on the PLE, but I think it's just because they just didn't know what to do or when to pull the trigger. Do we want to have them go off as singles? Do we want to have them be a tag team? I don't know. Bianca Belair, are you aware of this? There was a contest to design her PLE gear for SummerSlam, and she's not on SummerSlam. What's going on?
Maybe she's going to be on SummerSlam.
It's crazy that a huge name like Bianca isn't on SummerSlam. Like, that to me is nuts. Like, she's kind of missed SummerSlam in terms of the moments that she has on there, right? Mm-hmm. Winning titles, getting cashed in on, beating Becky Lynch, the return of Becky Lynch, being involved in the damage control return. Like, she always has major SummerSlam moments, and her not being here is a little bit odd to me.
I think that speaks more volumes about Jade. I think Jade did not have a great showing at Clash. I mean, granted, the ropes were slippery, and there was a couple of those kind of like, ooh, what's going on? But I think the WWE is not. I think either they've invested so much in Jade that they don't want to let that flop right now, and I think that they're willing to sacrifice Bianca for Jade. Because if it works with Jade Cargill, then you have Bianca and Jade Cargill at Mania. But if Jade does not work, then you lose Bianca versus Jade Cargill at Mania.
But then you've got the trump card of Charlotte Bianca that at any moment you could pull the trigger on.
I know that, but they vested so much.
That's the thing. Jade. That's the thing. That's why I said, I was originally going to say I don't know that they have a plan for Bianca and Jade, and then I changed it to I don't know if they have the full proper plan for Jade, because Bianca's Bianca. At any moment, they can be like, sorry, we're pulling the parachute on this. Bianca Belair, you're still going to continue to be one of our top draws in the company, and we're going to pair you up against the Rheas of the world, the Charlottes of the world. But they obviously don't have that same confidence with Jade Cargill, and I feel like they want to desperately have that confidence, and they're not willing to separate them yet.
I think Jade Cargill has served her purpose, though, in proving to other talent that look at how we will treat you if you're somebody else from a different promotion. I think Stephanie Vaquer was a good example of maybe that was a good one. Didn't they sign someone named Delta as well?
Yep. They signed Delta, Julia famously as well.
Right. So, and then of course Ethan Page. Like, there's so much new talent they signed after Jade. Because look at how they treated her. They gave her a big Royal Rumble moment.
Red carpet.
They gave her a match at Mania that protected her well. They put gold on her with the tag team titles. And they didn't change her name. They didn't make her someone different. They kept her as is. And I think all those have been positive bright spots. But it has definitely sacrificed Bianca Belair, who has been, I would say, throttled to be able to. But at the same time, I'm thinking when they put Bianca Belair on the side a little bit, is allowed at least Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley to cook. I mean, Bayley is the only other person that's kind of hurt by the absence of Bianca Belair.
Yeah, I think the main event scene of the women's division is missing Bianca Belair, but as I've already kind of alluded to, at any moment they could just say, Bianca, you're good. Let's get you back to where we want you to be, which is the main event scene. And they don't have to build her to get there because they could just do it tomorrow if they wanted to.
I had a random thought, and I don't know if again, this is a safe place, right?
Maybe.
Safe place?
I don't know, man. We got so angry that I'm wearing a bald cap.
Fair enough. The evidence of face Bayley not like having that pop that she used to have as heel Bayley, is it the same if Rhea became an ultimate babyface? Because what I mean is Bayley's promos have been downgraded as a face to the very generic type of promo. And my fear is that if Rhea ends up being a ultimate babyface, that she will lose the luster that she has with that in the middle anti-hero face type of vibe that she already has so well now.
I think that's a good point. However, I weirdly think that they have the prototype working right now in Damian Priest. Because Damian Priest is, dude, it's literally what you're suggesting is like, what if all of a sudden Rhea's promos became like Damian Priest? And Damian Priest is kind of working on me right now, bro.
Yeah.
So I think it'd be fine for Rhea to go that route without getting into the like hokiness of like, I've got heart, I've got spirit, Hamru Ra,
the Bushido.
the Bushido. Wrestling is Cool Match Club. You got to go check it out to know that inside joke. Patreon.com/SantiZab, the Bushido, the heart and soul. So because it's working with Damian, I think it would work with Rhea.
Well, that's the thing, though. If what I mean is in the kind of Matrix scenario that I'm painting here is if Rhea goes solo without Dominic Mysterio, because he's a huge part of Rhea Ripley, and you cannot separate the two. And I mean, who knows what happens? I did predict that Liv Morgan would go on an ultimate crush bender, which she did by burning everything and destroying the clubhouse, which it made it look like a Disney ride with the flickering light constantly. It looked like one of those rides you go through the queue. But it's interesting to think, why mess with something that's already working so well? And I feel that is the ebbs and flows of wrestling. And I think when you end the storyline, you're in the feud, you run that risk, right? But I'm thinking in Triple H's era, like we mentioned so many countless times, especially yourself, how he always has the past in the background.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I glanced at you and I thought you were a holding person.
Did you forget I was wearing the bald cap?
When I squint my eyes, it looks so good because the light kind of blends it in a certain light. But no, man, that's my worry. Then that's the same thing with like Cody. Like, you don't want to mess with Cody's vibe. Even Solo, they didn't. I don't think they messed with Solo at all. I think Solo could be going back to Enforcer if Roman would ever to come back and accept him. But I feel that oftentimes wrestling fans want change because it's exciting. But I don't know, man. I'm enjoying Rhea and Liv as is. Why mess with something that's good? Keep it going, because that feud could go a long time. Yeah,
and I think under the Triple H era, we've explored a different type of character that didn't really get a lot of exposure during the Vince McMahon era, which was those tweeners, right? Like, we did have, of course, famously Stone Cold Steve Austin, but really beyond Stone Cold Steve Austin, there were very few that really towed that line, that from match to match. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like CM Punk, there were definitive babyface turns and definitive heel turns with CM Punk.
Right.
I feel like think about Damian. When was the Damian babyface turn?
Yeah, last week.
It was just because he's going against a bigger heel, right?
Well, that, and he was like, I'm in a better mood. All rise.
Yeah.
Right? He was just more jovial, and he was messing with poor little Dirty Dom, but I think there wasn't like a definitive face turn.
Yeah, there wasn't that like juncture
saving
moment,
somebody,
right? Yeah. And same with Rhea Ripley, there wasn't that moment. And I feel like we're going to see more of those characters. I bet you Roman is going to fall under that category as well.
Winner?
Yeah, I don't think that there's going to be this like, I don't think he's going to save Cody Rhodes at SummerSlam. I
shake
feel
his hand.
Right, I don't think that happens. I think he comes out maybe after the match and confronts Solo Sikoa, but was that a babyface turn, or is that just a heel going up against another heel that's seen as a bigger heel at the I don't know, man. That we're exploring more complex characters as opposed to just the heads or tails types of characters that we've been accustomed to understand in the Vince McMahon era.
Oh God, I just had a feeling of seeing. I just had a flash memory, and this would maybe deja vu of Cody begging Roman to join him, and Roman not being like the ultimate babyface, and Cody like, "Hey man, we don't have to agree with each other. We could be on the same team. I need you." And there's gonna be a tag team.
I would hate
Roman
that,
and Cody.
I would hate that.
Right?
I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that.
Well, I've been trying to tell people is like, why is everyone excited? Why does everyone think that Roman's a face when he comes back? because I personally don't see it because Tribal Chief works so well and it's so money. Babyface Tribal Chief is an unknown commodity. Why mess with such a good thing? Why add a little of that sazon to the mix?
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. I think it's going to be babyface in the terms of traditional dynamics of him versus Solo. Not in the like he's the good guy and the bad guy, but more so he's the guy that people want to root for versus Solo being the guy that people want to boo. I think that's going to be the dynamic, not just like the traditional cookie cutter. I'm a good guy, say your prayers, eat your vitamins type of good guy.
And another flash thought. Roman comes back on Saturday. Everyone gets excited. Roman's back. Saves the day. The final boss comes back and puts everybody in their place and reveals himself as the true tribal chief.
As the puppeteer. Could happen. We're going to talk a lot more about that in our predictions video.
Yeah.
Make sure you check that out. I think we could start to wrap this up. Anything else you want to talk about?
No, nothing at all. I mean, the thing that I think we kind of talked about everything, and I did reveal that the Wyatt 6 is not like 100% doing for me, which is fine. I think it's a fine thing to say. I think a couple next thoughts I had is I'm excited that Zoe and Shayna and Sonya are doing something good. That's exciting to me. They got that little thing going. But the last thing I want to talk about is Finn Balor, bro.
You mean Balor?
Why do they keep doing this to Finn? Which the only reason why they would have Finn lose to Gunther clean is one, of course, to build up Gunther. And the same thing could be said about Braun Strowman and Damian. Why did they have Braun Strowman lose so cleanly? But it's different for Finn because I think Gunther said it best in his promo. It's like he was considered one of the best of the world. He was the next guy to be the bout machine. And for him to fall from grace and to just fall into an order with Judgment Day tells me that he is primed to take over Judgment Day and be the Prince Balor, be Bullet Club Balor again.
Okay, I was going to ask you, do you think that promo or that moment with Gunther is going to trigger something in Finn Balor? That's going to trigger, that's the first domino that falls in Finn Balor trying to consolidate power within the Judgment Day?
It should, because that match of Gunther versus Finn at the main event shows that Balor could put on a match with anybody. Its size, stature, doesn't matter. He could go.
Yes.
And he is fit to go, and he can definitely be the guy, a heavyweight title contender, but he's just been eating pins left and right, and they've done anything that they can to nerf this man. And that's why Finn Balor deserves more, man. And I think they've built it up I think I'm being, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, I've been tricked. Like, I've been tricked to feel sympathy for Finn Balor for all these years.
Dude, this fly has been harassing me for the better part of half an hour.
You, with the bald cap, you look like Pigpen from the these flies all over you. So, yeah, like, I think the WWE has, if that's the thing about wrestling is the feelings that I'm feeling now for Finn Balor is what the WWE wanted me to feel for him to justify his heel turn when he turns it on and starts wanting to be Balor, like the guy who was supposed to be. And I think when Gunther said it, that was the first canary in that coal mine to send down people's minds. Like, no, Finn Balor was, I mean, we saw it in Match Club. Like, dude, this dude wrestled with one shoulder against prime Seth Rollins.
I hope you're right. I hope that it does lead to something, but right now I have no reason to believe that it will. The last time I believed in something happening with Finn Balor was last year's SummerSlam, which was just primed and perfect for him to actually like do something with it. And they still didn't do anything with Finn Balor, unfortunately. He just kept losing in the most comedic, dumb ways because of the briefcase that I've ever seen. And then he just kind of kept falling down the pecking order, not just in the card, but even just within Judgment Day. And I don't know, man. I just don't see that changing, unfortunately, unless there's something with him and Liv Morgan.
Well, that's the thing I was trying to. That would be awesome. That would be a great glow up for Finn Balor, because he could just see him walking with Liv Morgan would be enough. And now for the audio listeners, Santi's trying to swat the fly with the bald cap.
I got it. I think we'll find out soon enough. I didn't.
Well, I think Finn with Liv on his arm would look amazing. I think they would be so obnoxiously awesome together. but that's we talked about it. I guess the theme of today's episode is what is good examples of a wrestlers at their prime. Cody being a face, Roman being the tribal chief, Rhea being this tweener. Finn Balor, the version that people are seeing is not his best. And that's what's blowing my mind, is that there's a lot of people in our community in the match, in Wrestling is Cool, that thinking this is the most that Finn Balor can offer, but that is not. It's far from the truth. This dude's been operating at 60% for years. Years.
I'm going to go and really double down on what you're saying. I think this is the worst version of Finn Balor we've ever seen. Like across NXT, across the main roster.
There's Prince Balor when he's just himself.
Sure.
Demon Balor. World champion.
I
Balor.
more so mean like every year, like on a year by year basis. This is
the lowest.
I think this is the lowest point of his career at the moment.
I mean, it's definitely the most charming he's been, and he's the most fun. But in ring, I would agree with you. Not talent wise, but booking wise is probably the worst.
Booking wise is the best way to put it for sure.
And I think it really started to slide when he started to just eat pins during Damian Priest Mr. Money in the Bank, Senior Money in the Bank, and that would be interesting. I think if they lean into Finn Balor blaming Damian for his demise, that would be huge for when, because Finn Balor versus Damian Priest would be an actually banger of a match.
You know what's interesting? That is a match I desperately want. I just don't think that it's a match that will. I just don't think it's a match that we'll get for the world title, which is what I wanted to be for, because there needs to be so much time that passes, in my opinion, to rehab the image of Finn Balor enough to make him instantly worthy and believable as a champion, because they've done him so dirty this past year that like the idea of him being in a world championship match almost seems laughable, and which then by default means that the idea of him winning a world championship right now seems laughable. Dude, he just eats pins every single week, bro. Like it's the same reason why it took so long to rehab Solo Sikoa, because he just kept taking loss after loss after loss. It took months really for people to truly believe him as a true top tier main event talent. And even then, some people still don't. And it was because the WWE spent so long using Solo Sikoa as the red shirt of the bloodline.
I don't know, man. I think it's just adding Liv Morgan to Finn Balor's arms is just enough. To give that aura.
That might do it. Because
then it reminds me of Shawn Michaels and what was her name?
Sherry.
Right? Shawn and Sherry, they had that kind of like obnoxious like rock and roll vibe about them, that they were better than everybody and they were just in love, and it was nasty love between them two. And I just feel like you're just so paranoid of this.
Dude, this fly has been harassing me all episode.
Fly, dude. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that in there. I think it's definitely noticeable, and I think another food for thought, I guess, for WWE fans out there is always ask yourself the feelings that you're feeling about a feud or a wrestler. Is it something that has been manufactured by the WWE? It's something that I want to know. I can tell you this. The love I have for LA Knight, that is not manufactured by the WWE, because that man has been booked to oblivion into the weirdest spots. My love and the Hall of Glaze entry of Karrion Kross is not because of the WWE's being manufactured. I just see greatness within Karrion Kross. It's there. It's there. Don't chuckle at me. I'm telling you, dude, if it's not at WWE, Karrion Kross will find his way at TNA or in New Japan. He seems like a great New Japan heel, the more I think about it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. All right, bud. All right, squirt.
Sure, champ. That's a great idea, little guy.
All right, let's bring this home. Are we able to do new heat order?
You know what, dude? The graphics did not travel, brother. You know,
it's a filler episode.
If I would have to say, we could just do it like a light version. For those of you who know, this is just the buzz, the fun, who is attracting everybody. And apologize to the person that's been doing the graphics, because this is going to be a non one on Twitter. I would say going into SummerSlam, who do you think has the most going for them? And it would be for me, CM Punk is number one. He had a great promo with the Monday Night Raw. He had some great things about it, and I love that he says, "Drew, you are literally in CM Punk air. This is something that you rare air appear to be able to be." And it's such a good heel promo, but when he's a face, it just works even better for him. So I think my number one buzz entrance going into SummerSlam is CM Punk.
See, I'm kind of just tied between CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. They've just both been so good that I'm okay conceding and just saying CM Punk, because I think he's been great.
Okay, who is like on, like, we'll go from the top to the bottom at 10 out of going into, I would say, another storyline I'm interested in, just to get rid of the ranking because we don't have the insane expansive graphics, is the Wyatt Six going into SummerSlam. Lots of things for the Raw after SummerSlam I'm definitely interested in it. And I think, of course, LA Knight, man. I think all eyes are on LA Knight here for SummerSlam.
Yeah, I think LA Knight would definitely be on the list if we were making one. I would, over on Monday Night Raw, also, of course, want to add Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley to this list. They are just, in my opinion, right now, carrying the women's division. And what's funny is that the Raw women's division, pales in comparison to the talent that's over on SmackDown, at least in my opinion. And yeah, SmackDown just can't really get it off the ground with like really, really fascinating storylines like they have with just Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan.
A tease for my SummerSlam prediction is Liv Morgan will bring in another person to help. It will not be a clean match.
Finn Balor?
No, I'm talking about another wrestler.
Oh, Raquel?
It'd be a debut.
Oh, a debut. Because I felt like Raquel could make sense. Shawn and Diesel type of relationship between those two.
I miss Raquel, dude.
I miss Raquel as well. Who else would be on this list? I mean, according to you, maybe Karrion Kross. Definitely not on my list.
I'm telling you, dude. You're
speaking to a wall when you say you're telling me.
Fine. It's fine. I want to put in the comments Karrion Kross bandwagon, and we're gonna see how many thumbs up it gets.
Everyone thumbs it down. Everyone dislike that comment. Mark it as spam.
Hey man, put number 10, Jesse Ventura. Hey, my man's alive, kicking it.
Dude, I didn't know he was the governor of Minnesota. That's crazy.
Governor of Minnesota. You know he was living like in the sticks, right? I'm surprised the WWE found him.
That's crazy.
He was living off grid, brother.
Dang.
Yeah.
Wow.
Off the grid. But no, New Year order will come back when I get back from vacation. But yeah, man. No, overall, it was fun watching wrestling on vacation, but it's interesting when you're not in the grind of making content reactions. It's a little different. Like it's just the episodes feel a little bit different, and I feel like I got a more, not necessarily casual view of it, but it's a different kind of perspective, and I guess that's why I'm not so white hot on the Wyatt Six, because if I had if I was intently watching and reacting to it, I think I would have a different viewpoint on that reveal, whereas I'm sitting on my phone. Look, you know what I mean? It doesn't have that hit as hard as me watching with my headphones and intently looking at it. I don't know if anyone else could feel that way when they're watching wrestling in different mediums. Like you know how some people digest wrestling on their phones and they're like by themselves, surrounded by family. I don't know. Just a food for thought. But wrestling is cool.
Yeah, it's a change in your consumption environment for sure, and and obviously it's still the same show, but because the way that you're consuming it is a little bit different, I feel maybe even the way that you enjoy it and the way that you interpret, and even maybe just your retention is different as well in a different environment.
Oh, for sure. A lot of stop and starting because I watched it on VOD.
Right.
A lot of stop and starting.
All right, folks. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Wrestling is Cool podcast. Sancho, you're going to be doing some SummerSlam work?
Yes. I will be streaming SummerSlam from here, twitch.tv/Sancho West. And hopefully the internet holds up. It should. It's pretty strong. It's 100 up and 100 down, which is amazing.
That's crazy.
Right?
Is that a hotel internet?
Yes. And I was blown away, dude. Wi-Fi signal.
Holy smokes.
Hopefully it will hold up, but I also want to remind people is that we are doing a belt giveaway on the Patreon. So come on by, join the Patreon for $5. And if you don't feel that you can put $5, $10, $15 down, you could at least join the Patreon so you can get notified of some things. We have still a huge Patreon audience that are just there following the page. So at least follow the page. The link's in the description, but we will have belts to give away after SummerSlam. So
Yes,
join
sir.
the fun.
Yes, sir. I'll be at SummerSlam, so if you're there, come say hi. If you see me, I'll be vlogging. No oil. Do not hand me oil. If do me a favor, just for my own personal safety, if you're gonna be funny and give me a bottle of oil, have it out. Don't like walk up to me and then reach into your jacket pocket, because I don't know what you're grabbing. All right. Last thing I need is a little bit of a scare. Just it's just a oil gun. He's just a little squirt of oil.
Just don't put oil on Santi. We have plans for Santi and the oil. Trust. There is the Triple H booking in this.
There is no plans. There will never be plans.
And also as well, Santi, have a good time, man.
Oh, thank
you. Enjoy it. I know you weren't originally planning to go to SummerSlam, but I think there's a reason why you're going.
Fate.
You know what I mean? In the universe.
The universe wants me there.
Cross, dude. Ooh, brother. You're gonna be nice to him. Yeah.
Of course I am.
Like,
scary guy, man. He's a big scary guy.
Awesome. I love the promo work you do with Xavier.
What a great feud.
I wish you were on this PLE. I wish you were wrestling in this PLE. Oh, brother.
All right, goodbye, everybody.